Jananam sukadham maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam kalavashadiha sakalam karunam samayadipate akilam karunam. Good evening everyone.
Sadhguru, can you tell us a little bit about that chant and what it means?
Well, I'm just not going by the word meaning, but the overall meaning would be, birth is a certain pleasure and joy, but death is compassion. When you have lived enough, the relief of death is fantastic. The worst thing that could happen to you is that suppose you have to live forever. And what we are calling as birth and death is just a certain amount of time and a certain amount of energy in play. Time-wise, no matter who you are, what you are, for all of us, time is rolling away at the same pace. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't hold back a day. You can't hold back a minute. But our life energies are in our hands. If we take charge of this, then in a certain way, we have mastery over time. If your experience of life, by taking charge of your energies, you make it very intense, then how you live, if you live here for a year, it may feel like you live here for 100 years because of the sheer intensity of your existence. And also in terms of activity, if you organize your energies well, what somebody may do in 10 years, you may do it in 1 year. So in terms of impact, if you live 100 years, you lived 1,000 years. So essentially, we're talking about organizing that we can organize and coming to terms with that which we cannot organize. This is where the equilibrium of life is.
You just said the worst thing that can happen is if you live forever. But what if that death is then imposed on you? So I go back to what happened on Easter Sunday in Sri Lanka and the attacks on various churches across Colombo, where 310 people were killed. I mean, what goes through your mind when you see this, I mean, some would say level of evil inflicted on man by man?
Oh, we must understand, evil has always been inflicted only by one man upon another man, never by some other forces. It never happened like that. No hand jumped out of the sky and did any evil to anybody ever in the history of humanity. It's always one person doing something horrible to another person. This could be done for economic reasons, this could be done because of egoistic reasons, this could be done because of wealth, property, so many things. But if we have a fight for something, let's say we are fighting for this flower vase, you and me. At some point if we fight enough, either some wisdom will arise in you or me and say, okay, you keep it, but I don't want this nonsense going on forever. It'll come somewhere. But when people believe that they're fighting for their gods, there is no compromise. This is what we need to understand. You cannot compromise when you're fighting for your god. If it's property, I'll give it away. But I'm fighting for something about which there is no question of compromise. So we need to understand this. It's not when events happen like this, terrible events like this happen, everybody for a few days they will feel all this and then they'll go about their normal business. We must understand the moment you believe something, and I believe something else, it's just a question of time when we are going to kill each other. Maybe we will, or maybe our children will, or maybe their children will, but it's bound to happen. When you believe something, when you believe means just this, what you do not know you assume and you concretize this assumption in your minds and you gather numbers. If these 1,000 people here all believe one thing, and when we step out on the street, if they all believe something else, inevitably there's going to be a clash. It's just a question of time.